Consumer Reports just dropped their latest reliability ratings, and 7 SUVs scored so high they're calling them near perfect. But here's what's insane. 3 of these weren't even on anyone's radar 6 months ago. One of them has a hidden engineering secret that's making German automakers lose sleep at night. And the number one pick, it's not the SUV you think it is. In fact, most people walk right past it at dealerships without a second glance. Even more shocking, the brand that built it nearly went bankrupt 15 years ago, and now they're embarrassing luxury manufacturers that have been in business for a century. Stay until the end, because the final SUV on this list has a feature that mechanics say shouldn't even be possible at this price point. And I'm going to show you exactly why Consumer Reports ranked it above vehicles that cost twice as much. Plus, there's one mistake 80% of buyers make when choosing between these 7. And it's costing them thousands in depreciation and repairs. Number 7, the Mazda CX-50. Most people think Mazda can't compete with the big players. They're wrong. Dead wrong. The CX-50 just earned a 91 reliability score from Consumer Reports, and here's the twist. It's built in Alabama, not Japan. But that's not the story. The story is what Mazda did to the engine. They took their SkyActiv technology and added something unexpected, a manufacturing process borrowed from luxury watchmakers. Every engine component is measured to tolerances most automakers don't even attempt. What no one expected? 0. That's the number of catastrophic engine failures reported in the first year. 0 transmission replacements, 0 electrical system meltdowns. In an era where new SUVs are basically computers on wheels that break down like laptops, the CX-50 runs like a mechanical Swiss watch. But here's where it gets interesting. Mazda deliberately kept the tech simple. No massive touchscreen taking over the entire dashboard. No subscription required for remote start. No over-the-air updates that brick your infotainment system. They focused on one thing, making every single component last. And owners are reporting something bizarre. The vehicle actually feels tighter and more solid after 30,000 miles than when they drove it off the lot. Panel gaps stay consistent, door closes sound the same, nothing rattles. The interior, that's where Mazda played a different game entirely. While other brands are cramming in cheap plastic and calling it modern minimalism, the CX-50 has materials you'd find in vehicles costing $15,000 more. Number 6, the Subaru Outback Wilderness. Everyone knows Subaru builds reliable vehicles, but the Outback Wilderness isn't just reliable, it's borderline indestructible. Consumer Reports gave it a 93, and here's what makes that number terrifying for competitors. This SUV was torture-tested in conditions that would kill most vehicles. Death Valley heat at 127 degrees, Alaska cold at -40. The kind of off-road terrain that breaks axles and dreams. It survived everything. Without drama, without failures. The secret? Subaru learned from their mistakes. Remember the head gasket issues that plagued them for years. They rebuilt the entire engine block from scratch. New metal energy in the block itself. New sealing technology borrowed from marine engines. They even changed how the coolant flows through the block. And then they did something no one talks about. They tested each engine for 200 hours straight before installation. Not a sample, every single engine. What mechanics are noticing is even stranger. The Outback Wilderness has fewer parts than its competitors. Subaru deleted entire systems that other brands rely on, replacing complexity with simplicity. Electronic parking brake, gone, replaced with a traditional mechanical system that can't fail due to a software glitch. Power liftgate with 7 sensors, and a pinch protection system. Nope. Manual liftgate that weighs less and never needs calibration. Fewer parts means fewer failures. And the most shocking part, it holds its value better than luxury SUVs that cost twice as much. 3-year residual values are running at 72%. Subaru also engineered something into this vehicle that most people don't notice until they need it. Genuine durability. The underbody protection isn't decorative plastic. It's thick steel plating. The suspension components are larger diameter than necessary for the weight. These are details that don't show up in reviews, but matter enormously when you're 200 meters from the nearest dealership. Number 4, the Lexus NX 350h. Lexus has always been reliable. It's their brand identity, but the NX 350h is operating on a different level entirely. Consumer Reports gave it a 95. Yeah, a score that's almost unheard of for a first-generation vehicle with this much technology. And here's what makes that score disturbing. This SUV is packed with tech that should be braking constantly. How is this possible? Lexus did something radical. They delayed the launch by 11 months. Not because of supply chain issues, because during pre-production testing, they found 17 different ways the vehicle could fail in the first 50,000 miles. So, they redesigned 17 different systems from scratch. The vehicle you can buy today is essentially the second generation of a vehicle that never officially had a first generation. What Lexus won't tell you in their marketing is that, honestly, the markup on this vehicle is surprisingly low for a luxury brand. They're practically selling it at cost to gain market share from German competitors. The interior is where Lexus really makes their statement. The leather isn't the cheap, corrected grain leather most manufacturers use, and it isn't semi-aniline leather that costs, like, 3 times as much. And the maintenance schedule, well, it reads like a fantasy. Oil changes every 10,000 miles. Transmission fluid never needs changing. It's a lifetime fill. Brake pads? Owners are reporting 80,000 miles before replacement because the regenerative braking system does about 70% of the stopping work. Number 3. The Toyota Highlander Hybrid. 3-row SUVs are, usually reliability nightmares. Everyone in the industry knows this. More weight means more stress on the drivetrain, more complexity, more failures. Except the Highlander Hybrid scored a 96 from Consumer Reports. Toyota's secret. They didn't try to reinvent anything. They took technologies proven over millions of miles in the Prius and Camry hybrid systems that have been refined for, 2 decades and just scaled them up. No experimental systems. But here's what makes the Highlander Hybrid, honestly, terrifying for competitors. It's been in production since 2020, and there's still no pattern of significant failures. Check the NHTSA database, look at owner forums, search for class action lawsuits. Nothing. In the automotive world, this level of reliability for a 3-row hybrid is, honestly, pretty unprecedented. The build quality, yeah, it's impressive. Every Highlander Hybrid goes through 847 quality checkpoints before leaving the factory. If any of those 847 tests fail, the vehicle goes back for correction. Number 2, the Acura MDX. Acura almost died as a brand 5 years ago. Then they released the new MDX, and suddenly Consumer Reports is giving it a 97. That's a score reserved for vehicles that, essentially, just don't break. And here's what's shocking. The MDX is delivering near Lexus reliability at a price point that undercuts German luxury by $20,000. But here's the secret. Acura doesn't advertise. The MDX shares almost nothing with the Honda Pilot, despite being built on the same platform. Different suspension geometry, different sound insulation, pounds of extra acoustic material, different electronics architecture with higher quality components. Number 1, the Mazda CX-90. Mazda, the brand that almost went bankrupt in the 2000s, that Mazda just built the most reliable 3-row luxury SUV on the market. Consumer Reports gave it a 98, and the automotive world is still trying to figure out how this is possible. Here's how. Mazda stopped trying to compete on technology gimmicks and brand prestige and instead focused on perfection of basics. The CX-90 has a naturally aspirated inline-6 engine, a design most brands abandoned years ago, but natural aspiration means no turbochargers to fail at 80,000 miles, no complex boost control systems to malfunction. The transmission is an 8-speed from ZF, the same supplier that builds transmissions for BMW, Porsche, and Aston Martin. But Mazda did something clever that other manufacturers don't. They detuned it. They're not extracting maximum performance, they're extracting maximum longevity. This transmission is working at 60% of its rated capacity, which means it'll outlast the vehicle itself. But here's the engineering miracle that makes luxury brand engineers lose sleep. The CX-90 is built on a rear-wheel drive platform with a longitudinal engine layout. That's the same configuration as a BMW X5 or Mercedes GLE, except the CX-90 costs $40,000 less. The interior is where Mazda made their definitive statement: genuine maplewood trim, Napa leather on the seats, sound insulation so extensive that at 70 miles per hour on the highway, the interior measures 63 decibels, quieter than a normal conversation. What Consumer Reports found in their long-term testing is what makes that 98 score make sense. Nothing broke. The CX-90 crossed 30,000 test miles without a single unscheduled service visit. No warning lights, no weird noises, no issues whatsoever for a brand new vehicle with an entirely new platform and powertrain. That's unheard of.